I started it as my thesis project at Pratt Institute, and this is around the year 1999. I kind of wanted to combine like a lot of my interests, which were in fine art, but also graphic design and the media. The medium of a magazine as a way to like collaborate with other artists and just sort of like also express myself in this medium of kind of getting it outside of the gallery and like into the world. For me as an artist, part of the fun is kind of like art directing and editing and kind of using like what's already out there. Mm-hmm. And for me, the art project becomes about the process of kind of creating this overall like product or voice. It's kind of like I'm trying finding like what's out there and like putting it within this context, mm-hmm. so that the works together kind of like start to talk about like current issues that are going on in the world. And in that way, for me, it's very expressive as like, say I were making a painting, but I prefer to, I like how in our culture today we're also like media obsessed, and whether it's like a website or a blog or I kind of still really like print. I like the physicality of the object of print, and like how K48's more, it's less like a magazine and more like an artist fanzine. I just sort of like knew a bunch of people in different scenes around New York, and I sort of saw myself as maybe kind of like a catalyst, as kind of like someone who kind of would bring them together and like put it together. It's just really fun, especially with the way when I started it and where it's kind of evolving and going, like with the world today, with like where we're at, like post 9/11, and so we kind of like, there's a lot of like political satire and like kind of dealing like this humor that's kind of dealing with like different issues like the war in Iraq or the environment, or but in a fun, accessible way. So I think that's like why I really wanted to start doing it, because I didn't really see a magazine out there or a publication that really gave me that. Like it seems like all of the magazines out there are so like market driven. It's kind of like, it's like just showcasing someone to sort of like, I mean, that's a good thing too, I'm not saying that's bad, but I just wanted to make something that was more from a very personal level, as like a sort of a fanzine, like, and that has like an overall like focus on art and music. I choose a theme for each issue. The current theme is, it's called In Lockdown We Bite. I just thought it was kind of ironic that, you know, the US is like fighting for freedom, but then it becomes more and more, the system becomes more and more like imprisoning. Like you have Homeland Security and there's a lot of contradictions. Just like a lot of different things, like there's other ideas of prison, like self-imprisonment, like the prisons of celebrity culture, like it's sort of like paparazzi is like constantly in your face, like the media is a prison. That's why I decided to wrap each issue in a page from the New York Post, which is like really sensational, and it itself is like a prison. So starting from that, I just kind of open up and look around and try and find works and actually ask people who I know and admire their work. It's very organic, and I give myself plenty of time. I try not to pressure it too much. This last issue took a little over a year more to like put together. It's a very personal project, and I think when I give it more time, you know, I might run into somebody at a party, or I might meet somebody, I might do a studio visit and like, you know, find someone who can bring like another level to the whole project. So I think it's, so as far as like who I'm looking for, I'm open. A lot of people who've worked on the project don't really necessarily consider themselves artists. A new issue, my friend Wesley like really wanted to do a project, and we had a lot of fun like editing this piece, and You know, it was the first time he's ever been published. It was the first time he ever wrote something. I just, you know, I'm really open to like anybody. I pretty much do like all the editing, everything myself. When you have a magazine with like a million people working on it, it kind of loses its voice. But K48 becomes, because there's like this one voice behind it that's kind of like putting it together. When I work with people too, it's like, you know, we talk about like the projects, and like it becomes like a collaboration in a way. I'm not like, I didn't study writing or editing. It's all like kind of self-taught, and it's been a lot of fun like for me to like just edit writing, and like, my whole life an artist, and even K48 for me is like, it's everybody, but that's part of my art too, is like, it's not just about me, it's about everybody else, and like, but that's one of my projects. And then the other ones, I'm always shooting Polaroids, usually at parties, because I like taking people's portraits. And, but I do, like, I work in all types of media, from sculpture, installation, painting, like collage, like drawing. Try and write something if I can. I actually really like writing, but I always end up getting so involved in like other people's work that I usually save myself to the last. And I never really think about the money anyway, like when I'm doing it. I think just the idea of like how it's like this real thing, that, like, you know, there's been a lot of sweat and tears and blood, not blood, but you know what I mean? Like, I just think it makes it more real in the long run and fun, you know, because it's like a struggle, and like when we finally get the issue out and like we finally do our shows, like it's awesome, you know. We're gonna start a new issue. I'm gonna start a new issue like pretty soon. I've been thinking about it. Next one, I try and like create some sort of like segue between issues. Like the one before the prison was the animal issue, and like so I thought when I was making the animal issue, the next one would be the prison issue. The next one, I just kind of want to like, I'm really feeling this like space thing. Like it's like, okay, I want to get off the planet and just kind of like, I want to think more broadly, like just about the universe and space, and more abstractly, and like kind of, you know, like why like this, like here we are on Earth, it's like a mess, and then like there's all this vastness of space. So I think that's the complete opposite of like prison. When I was little, I'm really into sci-fi. I've always been into sci-fi, and I'm just feeling it. Like I was also like, I'm really into like techno music, and like, you know, when I was younger I was really into the rave culture, and like, so, and that kind of like, it's kind of like become full circle again, like I think going back towards that, and I think I want the soundtrack to kind of reflect like those ideas. So this is my letter that I wrote to Wentworth Miller, for me a conceptual piece of like how I was starting to think about the idea of prison in our culture today. I didn't want to like just write like an intro, like I wanted to like be more conceptual with it. And then this kind of goes with it. It's Wentworth, and I just found the image and photoshopped in like his signature. That's actually referenced here in the piece. It was on a pink surfboard. This is by Jim Tozzi and Vernon Chapman. They're in PFFR, and they also do Wonder Shows in. And then the other side is just like the track listings, but the image underneath is from my passport. There's always like a soundtrack to it, and again, it's mixed by Philip. The issue to my good friend Stefan Lockdown, who passed away last year. And he always would be at the K48 parties and would help out and DJ, and he always wanted to do a project in K48, and so we dedicated this issue to him. I called it "In Lockdown We Bite," and this is by his good friend Spencer Product. And then this here is a combination of some of his drawings that were put together by KP Lawless. And so yeah, it's just dedicated to Stefan.